So how are we today trying to connect a continuum, a continuous process, a continuous flow of existence with adding value to life? Oh, stay till the end to find out. Oh, yeah. What I guess I mean, though, in essence, is leveraging a continuum. How a continuum is something that is a little bit separate from what is typical in today's day and age. Everything is manic in terms of how things are typical in today's day and age, meaning every day people are looking for a quick fix of something, of a quick return, of a quick response, of a quick reaction from something that causes quick pleasure. Oh, yeah. And in essence, how this scales into social media. For example, social media is something that is like aligned with a quick dopamine fix. For example, it's not necessarily ideal. It's sort of a transition of how the purpose of social media sort of exists. For the fundamental purpose of it is rooted in the essence of trying to help companies, for example, to be able to grow a presence, to be able to solve more problems in life. Yeah. So, in essence, I'm referring to the idea of solving problems. Yeah, so like in essence, things change. Things have a variety of shifting over time in the short and the long term. And that's for sure. And that's sort of what a brand is all about. That's what a business is all about. Business is almost like an analogy to be able to connect with the idea of something that's long-term, an energy that's long-term, that's consistent, revolving around solving a problem. And what's very interesting is that the weather changes. The weather tends to change quite a bit in those storms and those ups and downs and those cycles and those conceptual processes and those potential conceptual persistence, elements of trying to stay in line with some focus that's consistent and consistency. So in essence, what we want to try to be able to focus on is how things and people come and go. Things and people come and go, especially fans, followers, likes, dislikes, things of this nature. So in terms of social media, for example, it is not necessarily necessary to be able to give necessarily notice to the essence of followings and things and views and such things in social media. It's kind of like driving a car down the street, and in essence, like if you're really trying to solve a problem, you're trying to drive a car towards the essence of the resolution, the essence of a resolution of a certain specific problem, then in essence you're not necessarily focused on the likes or the views of videos necessarily, but it's kind of like if you're driving a car and you're driving 50 miles an hour and you've just driven 100 extra miles, and then you're looking backwards at what happened like 200 miles ago in terms of like how many signs did you pass like 50 miles ago, for example. That's similar to like looking at likes and views on a video, for example, in the past, whereas you're just trying to solve a problem, even though, yeah, there's a correlation, but ultimately this problem-solving problem mechanism is rooted in the idea of the problem-solution mindset, as opposed to the essence of the dopamine quick fix of trying to do things in the short term, but focusing in the long term, the longer term, the longest terms, yeah. In the essence of life existence, connectiveness to the universal. Things are universal. Things are infinite. So everything is sort of long-term in that respect. You know what I'm saying? And that's also why it's advised to go outside and live outside. Stay outside for the longer term, and don't use the house for like thinking and doing things that are important and such things, especially at night. At night, you get a lot of interesting, valuable ideas and such things conceptually. So you should go outside and root those, anchor those mindsets into nature. Root in nature those anchor mindset elements outside. Because you, in essence, want to be able to try to connect with your mindset, to be able to fundamentally cash in in the long term, the essence of what a brand is worth. It's not about followers, it's not about likes, it's not about anything that regards to social media. Those are all quick fixes. It's all about solving problems. It's about solving problems and adding value to being able to solve problems, in essence, in the short and the long term. And there's an essence to growth at the same time. Like if you're 2 years old and you're a child and you're a baby and you want to act like you're 3 years old, it's kind of impossible. It's actually like impossible in terms of the measurement of time, in essence, more or less. Like if you're a 2-year-old and you're trying to act like you're practicing to be a 3-year-old, for example, no, actually, you are practicing to be a 3-year-old. That's what I meant to say. You are practicing to be a 3-year-old when you're a 2-year-old, in essence, but you cannot be a 3-year-old. You cannot act like a 3-year-old when you are a 2-year-old. When you're a newborn child and you're only 2 years old, for example, and you only have 2 years of life, for example, you can't just be a 3-year-old. You can't act like what a 3-year-old might be, or you're like your 3-year-old self when you are 3 years old, for example, because that's impossible. Because in essence, you're not 3 years old, you're a 2-year-old. So that amount of growth, the amount of chemistry, those chemical connections, those chemical root connections that are cellular molecular connections in the brain have not been formed yet necessarily. So that's a 3-year-old connection, for example, trying to act like a 2-year-old in the form of a 2-year-old trying to pretend to be a 3-year-old is what I guess I'm saying. You can practice, though. That's the whole purpose, actually, of being a 2-year-old, is to practice to be a 3-year-old. It's to practice to be a 3-year-old, but you have no idea what it'll actually be like to be 3 until you actually get there. It's a matter of paradigm. It's a matter of paradigm acknowledgement. It's a matter of paradigm acknowledgement and sitting through the storms, sitting through the dry seasons, sitting through the annoying essences, sitting through the times when you want to be 3 years old. You want to be 3 years old. You want to be a 3-year-old, but in essence, you're 2 years old. You're 2 years old, and it's less cool than being a 3-year-old. But in essence, you're sitting there and you're practicing being a 3-year-old anyway, so you're still looking at being a 3-year-old, you're still trying to get there, you're still trying to solve the problem that 3-year-olds can solve in a hypothetical sense, more or less, but like, you just have to deal with the essences and the problems of being a 2-year-old, so maybe you can't make content, social media content as well at 2 years old as when you get to be 3 years old necessarily, but you have to make 2-year-old content for a while, just to be able to get to 3 years old, for example. It's just a status mindset, it's a status conceptual mindset, and the other essence of the conceptual status mindset is just trying to solve the problems, and not looking backwards, not driving the car 200 miles down the road and then looking past content necessarily. You're just continuing to make new content. You're continuing to trudge new paths, in essence, to be able to make new territory, to land into new territory. For example, to be able to just continue to try to solve the problem. Solving the problem doesn't have to do with likes. It doesn't have to do with social media views. None of the above. It's just presence. It's presence. It's laying down a foundation. It's laying down new tracks. It's laying down new roads to be able to lead towards the resolutions. Lead towards the problem-solving mechanisms. Yeah, in the short and the long-term sense, especially the long-term sense, the longest, most sustainable processes and resolutions are the ones that stand the test of time and also allow you to eventually raise your prices, raise your value, raise your prices, raise your stakes, raise your prices, raise your value, raise your stakes, raise your prices, and anyhow, if you do raise your prices, you might lose a couple customers along the way, but the essence of taking new turns, new spins, and laying down different pavement in the road of your path to be able to continue to try to solve new problems, that makes it so in essence you pass among different towns, you pass among different groups, and you try to pick up new groups, and you try to keep on your course and keep trudging in your course, so that you pick up new groups of folks in different towns that you sort of pass through on a continuous, effervescent, ethereal journey into space, into the mindset of space, into the essence of what social media somewhat is the essence of journeying through the essence of the universe to be able to conceptually contemplate how to continue in your problem-solving journeys into your little vehicle, into your social media personal brand vehicle down the road that's skipping and thumping and processing new information and data so that eventually you can find different levels of different paradigm growth that you can't know about necessarily until you get there, and you just have to ride out the process because you're continuing to try to solve problems, and you just ride it out in the vehicle to be able to age forward in time to be able to then therefore take on new paradigms of growth by staying the course to learn and develop new pathways and new steps forward and up to be able to add value, increase, raise your stakes, raise your value, and raise your prices to be able to have those folks that are out there that are in thick and thin, that are sticking with you through thick and thin to be able to help you solve problems, that are sort of crusading alongside of you to be able to try to develop your tribe, try to develop your brand, try to develop your scene, try to develop your comrades in the process to be able to go forward and try to solve problems collectively with your crew, with your effervescent crew. That's about all for now. Thanks again. Ding Tech, Change for Games, Change for Games Studios. Bye, peace boy. And at the same time, let's always not forget to clear the animal shelters. Let's always try to not forget to clear the animal shelters, clear all the animal shelters in the world, and hire the shelter animals as healers, in and among and throughout communities. Let's clear the animal shelters by fostering all the shelter animals and clearing the animal shelters by hiring all the shelter animals in the world to be able to hire the shelter animals as healers. Hire the shelter animals as healers in and among and throughout communities so that they can be hired and they can have a job to be our healers, our human healers in and among and throughout our community so that they serve the purpose of being our healers and our guides and our spiritual guides to be able to lead us to betterment. Lead us to better spiritual optimization, and then therefore developing more philanthropy energy for the global philanthropy energy grid, the global philanthropy. The global philanthropy energy grid among all humans and all of humanity to be able to help us optimize ourselves as humans and humanity. Oh, yeah. And the global good deeds economy. That's all for now. Thanks again, Dink Tech Change for Games, Dink Tech Change for Game Studios. Bye. Peace. Bye.